The latest exhibit at the Grimsby Public Art Gallery involves the work of 3 artists and is called Precious Little.
We've got 3 different artists, and each of them is in some way exploring the impact of scale on art, very, very much looking at tiny things and how we view them and what that can mean to us.
Each artist brings their own perspective to the exhibit.
Probably the first thing you'll see as you come into the gallery, you'll notice Melanie's paintings, which are very large-scale images of lichens. So Melanie is looking very closely at one of the tiniest life forms, tiny and usually pretty insignificant. Most of us don't think very much about lichens. They grow on rocks and they grow on tombstones, and we scrape them away so we can read the date and whatever, but we don't think very much about what they look like, maybe what they're doing. If you take the time to examine them up close, they're extremely intricate and beautiful, and Melanie has certainly captured that for us. There are also 2 three-dimensional displays. Micah Adams works with, well, probably the most eclectic array of materials that I have seen in an artist studio in some time. He is trained as a sculptor, as a fine artist, but he is also a jewelry maker. So much of his work involves manipulating materials on an incredibly tiny scale. Yet when you get right down and look at them closely, you realize that they would work just as well on a large scale. So he very much plays with your assumptions about scale, about what's appropriate, what happens on a small scale. Amy Swartz's work is somewhat more focused. She works with insects, dead ones, and has added heads, arms, legs, tiny little plastic body parts of various sorts, gleaned from her children's toy box, I believe, to these insects to create a bit of a small, a miniature hybrid society. And by changing our expectations of what these insects are going to look like, giving them human aspects, human heads, mammal heads, arms and legs from superheroes, they are able to play out a variety of scenarios that very often are related to things that Amy's been hearing in the news, Tiananmen Square, various things happening around the world. And they're just very fascinating miniature sculptures in their own right.
Precious Little will be on display at the Grimsby Public Art Gallery until December 7th. In Niagara, you're watching The Source.